the second precept, you know this, is framed in these terms, which is not taking what is not given. Yes, it's not stealing, but it's more nuanced than that, right? It's more subtle than that. It's an invitation. There's so many invitations in the Buddhist teaching to be a bit more nuanced about what our motivation is in the world, you know, what it is, how we are contextually, you know, and how much selfing is going on, you know, how, just paying attention to it. It's not so much, again, as making a series of rules. This is what you should do. This is, you know, it's paying attention to see what's up and allowing your a deeper attention to guide your behavior, right? To move in the direction of non-harm, to see what's going on here. And so much of it is taking a closer look at where greed shows up, where the impulse for more shows up for us, where the right to have more shows up, and the wanting to move into that space. And it's a nuanced deal, you know. It's a nuanced deal. The suggestion in Buddhist psychology is that contentment itself is one of the greatest gifts. You know? And it's something that's largely underappreciated and underestimated. And it's in being part of happiness itself, which was something that we all want, is that sense of contentment, that sense of having enough. But part of that is managing our impulsive nature, you know, which is in there, to want more, to want more. You know, it starts in the crib when we're reaching for those shiny balls above us, you know, it's to reach outside of ourselves, to fill ourselves up, to entertain ourselves, to want more, and which is fundamentally something that's called into question, you know, by Buddhist psychology. You know? And so this precept is an opportunity to take a closer look at what it means. You know? Not taking what's not given. You know? And of course, the correlation, you know, it's so closely connected with generosity, which is, you know, one of the paramis, right? And how does that play out? How does that play out in various situations? How does it play out, for example, talk about a couple of areas where this plays out. One of them is food, right? Not taking what's not given, and not taking more than what is needed is very much a correlation of the situation. You know, when there's a small amount of something there, and you like it, and there are a couple other people there. What goes on there? There's only so much chocolate there, right? There's only so much chocolate there. What goes on in that space? I don't mean whether you take it or not. That's one thing, that piece. But what's going on internally? What's going on internally for you in that decision-making process? You know? Somebody offers it. Maybe you take it. Maybe you want to offer it back. Sometimes there's a whole dance that goes on there. You know? But what's going on internally in that space for you? What goes on in that space when you're driving? All of these opportunities, and all these opportunities to see, right? We see other drivers taking what's not given, right? Passing when there's no passing lane, right? Taking space on the road, being acontextual. How do we do with that? With driving? I'm here first. I should be able to go first. We're both here. Do I take? Is it given? because I was here first? Is that okay? How does it feel inside versus saying, no, you go first? I was in the bank the other day. What am I doing in a bank in Hawaii? Well, I'm not going to rob the bank. That would definitely be taking what's not given. And I'm in the line, and I realize it's kind of a long line to go up and see a teller. And but I do have a question. I'm really not clear whether what I'm going to ask when I get up there is going to be something they're going to be able to meet. So I step out of line, clearly step out of line to go to talk to one of the people. Those people I guess they're administrative people. I never know quite what they're doing, but yeah, they're not the tellers. There's those other couple people in the bank sitting in their little room. And I had to go in there and ask somebody a question, right? And I was in there for a couple minutes. Now I come back out and there are three more people in the line, right? No problem. I get in the back of the line. And this gentleman, who was the gentleman that was right back of me, looks back at me and he's an elderly gentleman. Elderly, that means older than me, right? Older than me. Says to me, it's just this gentle man. Says, were you in line? And he extends his hand. Yeah. Now, and I went back and forth there to say, no, that's okay. But I just had to receive his generosity. It was actually a lovely offering. He was really offering, being generous himself, right? He has a right to be in that line. Yes, I stepped out of line. Yes, correct. He took it upon himself to offer me that space back, and I took it, and I thanked him profusely as well. And it was a beautiful moment. A beautiful moment happened there that didn't need to happen at all, right? Of course, it didn't need to happen at all. And so often, those moments don't. But there are these opportunities sometimes, right? That was a lesson for me, too, about being in line. What am I going to do the next time that happens? For example, would I have done that? I think I might have. Partly it depends how much of a rush I was in, I think. If I'm honest, you know, so many spaces. I mean, and for all of you, for all of us, as we take a whole month with this, it's just to extrapolate, just to open it up. Where does a little more greed or wanting show up for you? How does it show up? How does it show up in interfacing with other people? How about dominating the conversation? Have you ever seen that? There's a group of people, there's time to share. It's one person in the group. It goes on and on and on and on and on. Isn't that taking what's not given, in a sense? Contextually, isn't that out of context? Right? Not not creating enough space for each person to have time to share. Yeah. Have you ever seen that? Yeah. So many ways that this can show up for us. How are we doing taking what's not given when it comes to our carbon footprint? How do we do with that? Does it matter at all? How do we do with using water? With using energy? How do we do with recycling? Yeah. Oh, I know this thing is recyclable, but it's filled with junk, and I don't really want to have to clean it up because it will like take 30 seconds. So I'm just going to throw it in the trash. What difference does that make if that stays in a landfill for eternity? It's convenient for me to just throw it in the trash. Right? You ever have a moment like that? The smaller moments, it's really just an opportunity to look at, because yeah, probably most of us don't steal outright. Sometimes we borrow things without asking. Where are those edges? Where are those edges for all of us to just explore? It's really to explore and see how it lands inside. Whether we move in one way or the other, whether we take the space, whether it's our right to take the space, it's our right. It comes up, it came up in COVID, right? It's our right to not get vaccinated. It is. What about herd immunity? What about the greater good there? How does that factor into? How does that factor in? So much goes on between individual rights and the greater good too. There are a lot of places around that. We could reflect a lot on that, but mostly it's about in your life. Every day, there are smaller opportunities to see this precept in action, and to see basically to see our motivation and to see how it feels before, during, and after, whichever decision we happen to make along the way in those particular moments, right? Yeah, yeah. That sense of moving a little bit toward voluntary simplicity, moving a little bit toward what does contentment mean? What does it mean to let something, a little thing go and feel enough, that it's enough. It's enough the way it is. Don't need that. Does it even feel good to not need it, or to give it away, or to let someone else have it, etc. Yeah. So this is all part of that exploration for us this month. Yeah. Yeah. So we invite you to engage that. Yeah.